The concept of Bharatanatyam itself is so deep. It's not even a movement language. It is a mind body coming together in a way where movement is just actually organically happening. And to get to that stage is really the journey in dance. Everything else is a very peripheral aspect. How much you work out, how much you do this, how much you do. All of that is only enabling us through this journey to center this monkey mind, because our mind is like a monkey. It wants to jump up and down all the time. I want something new. Oh, I need a reward, so I will practice hard. Oh, I have a kacheri, I have some external reason. Okay, let me jump. Or I have fear-based practice. Oh, if I don't practice, then I will be out of form. Or, that mind doesn't stop. The only time it actually stops is perhaps when you're in a deeply meditative state, and that itself is Natya. Natya is that deep meditative state you have to get into. If we are saying Shiva is the god of dance and he is performing Natya and he is the highest yogi, if he is Adi Yogi, the first yogi, then what sort of an absolute still state is he in? And from that state his movement is coming out. So those kind of things you have to bring into perspective. At least from my experience, this has sort of organically evolved over time. The Aramandi itself, that triangle itself, they say is Satchit Ananda, right? So if it's that deep, can we understand the depth of it? Satchit Anandam again is that final state of oneness. Okay, and when we are talking about oneness, it is again that oneness of how do we experience the ultimate Ananda or bliss? When we are entirely aligned, when we are in that complete space of yogic oneness within ourselves. That's why, Shiva, when we talk about Shiva, we talk about Ananda Tandava. Of course, there are very different types of Tandavas he does, but the most prolific Tandava we talk about is his Ananda Tandava in Chidambaram. The dance of Ananda, complete bliss, joy, that just happens, and movement just comes as a result of that inner oneness. So that is what that triangle is even representing. That we are in such a deep inner oneness that Ananda, the joy of dance is automatically happening. So as much as we want to learn about the sort of the technicalities of the dance, when we start to look at the deeper metaphor that the dance is even representing, then our practice goes from something very very pretty, beautiful, nice movement to deeper spaces of movement. We start that as children. We're like, or you do this, I'll give you some chocolate, I'll give you, or I'll give you a biscuit. There is always a reward-based approach as children. And I found that through my experience of life, when I go through a reward-based approach of practicing art, then art is not coming from a creation space. It's coming because I want to please an audience, because I want to get a slot to perform, because I want to become famous, or because I want money. But is that art? Is that creation? No. Creation happens for the sake of creation. A flower blooms because it just blooms. It's not blooming because you and I are going to pluck it eventually and smell it. It's just blooming. And it's happy blooming. That is its Satchit Anandam state. So the metaphor of this Satchit Anandam that we are talking about constantly is that joy of dancing that is coming as an inner movement, that is coming as an inner joy of just of life. Art has to stir something in you, it has to shift something, it has to kick you in the gut. It cannot be a pretty movement. The pretty movement is just a pretty movement. That's it. We're not honest enough to actually agree just because we see a name associated with it or a number of followers associated with it. We're not honest enough to say that is not touching my soul. It's a pretty movement. that is it. Can you honestly ask yourself, is that touching my soul somewhere? No. How is it even art? It's just eye candy. I look at it and I'm like, ah, wow, great, that's it. That's why you scroll to the next video, one more eye candy. I look at it, wow, pretty great. I scroll to one more window, I see one more eye candy. That's all eye candy. After that, what? Do you remember a single video you have watched? No. Art is something, the reason it's intangible is because it's an experience that stays with you, that you capture, and that changes your consciousness in a way that you're not the same person again. It has shifted you very deeply inside. And that can't happen if every day you put out a video. Because you cannot shift like that every day. Your consciousness does not evolve like that every day. That is why it's a lifetime journey in the art. What I was yesterday, I'm not today. And we are constantly changing, we are growing. If I came out and danced, even anybody, even if the greatest person came out and danced like that in front of you every day, it can't happen. It has to sit in you for a while and then come out. And when it comes out, it will change you, it will change those viewing you. Every time you have questions, observe children. They just move for no reason. Simply they are jumping up and down. Simply they are dancing. Like when I see a little child just dance in abandon, it's like, it just brings a smile automatically on your face. Does it? I think it's like for all of us. Because that soul is dancing there. He may not have it dancing in any technique. So when we take that into Bharatanatyam, right? Bharatanatyam becomes a language. We are learning a technique, we are learning a form, we are learning a language. But if we are not going to find our soul speaking through this language, it's always going to be a language. It's only going to be a grammar. Even I was stuck in technique for the longest time. I used to be like, oh, my Natyarangam has to be perfect. I can't drop my elbows have to be right, my shoulders have to be down, my core has to be tight. Yes, we all go through that. But if my dance is not going to, forget moving others, if it's not even going to move me, if I'm going to be stuck in that technique so much, there is no anandam at all. You have to be accepting of the fact that everything exists. Unless there is something mediocre, you won't know what is superior. And for you to go to a stage where you become superior, you have to start from a mediocre space. You have to start somewhere, walk up the ladder. And you have to make that journey on your own. Nobody can make it for you. However much, you learn, however much, workshops you attend, whatever, it's an experience of life that allows you to grow and make that journey happen for you. So, are you willing to be that truthful and honest to make that journey even? It depends on where you want to be with the art or where you want to be with life even, because ultimately art and life are no different. They're just one and the same. I don't see a difference. The way you dance is the way you live your life. You see anybody's dance, you can even dance or painting or music or anything is just the way you live your life. How are you experiencing life? How are you experiencing life around you? How deeply do you feel life? That deep your art will be. Yes, the books have all these concepts, they have everything. You can read it and intellectually understand it. When you read something, even that you have to question. Because even if it's in a book, okay, it's a great sage wrote it. Why did he write it? And you keep reading it. But if you live your life truthfully with those questions, the experience will unfold. But your practice of the dance has to bring you to that space. And it comes from an experiential space. Then we have wisdom. So there is an intellect, there is experience, and then is wisdom. So you can tell easily if it's coming from a wisdom space or is it coming from an intellect space. If there is no experience in the middle, that won't happen. So you have to allow your practice to flow into such a space where you're actually experiencing these concepts organically. In fact, they'll actually organically happen to you if you stay steady with it. That it'll automatically, you'll come to places where you feel like you don't exist at all. There is no you, there is no doer, there's no ego, there's nothing. But you should want to be in, like you have to want to dissolve. So, and finally that's when that dance even happens, complete dissolution. Intellectually, all these concepts are very beautiful. They give us all a very good intellectual high. People love to talk about it. But that's not where it ends. That's just the beginning. That's why they say, no Vedanta, end of the Vedas. Only when you drop all that knowledge and you come into experience space is where you finally actually gain the wisdom. So it's hard. That journey is what becomes your journey in the art.